Boys and girls, welcome to Plots, Ships, and Fanfics. This is your host, Palmer Nishin Christensen, and joining me today is Jason Top Gun Cummings, coming in here with aviator glasses, like a fool, and my favorite weeaboo, Blackett, of the Dakota clan. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are not able to see through the poker face of Jason. He has bestowed himself his glasses. Today marks a wonderful day in nerd history. Today is the release of yet another Magic the Gathering set. When is the 25th anniversary, Jason?
I believe it will be coming up sometime this August. Not sure on the day, but
This August?
this August.
Dang gum.
25 years this year.
Sweet.
Shoot, boy. That really puts you in perspective. Kirby's hitting its 25-year anniversary too this year, I think, if I remember right. So there's two fantastic things. Are they doing anything special for the 25?
They are releasing a new Masters set later in the year, but it is being pre-revealed, completely unknown to the people who are going to get a first chance opportunity to play it at the first ever HasCon.
What is HasCon?
A Hasbro convention similar to Comic-Con or PAX.
A Hasbro convention?
This set is called Iconic Masters and is supposedly full of some of the most well-known and powerful cards from throughout Magic's history.
Ooh, that sounds vague. What are we thinking? Are we thinking Power 9?
No, I do not think we're thinking Power 9.
Are we thinking the most well-known and powerful? Interesting. What's that one black Efreet that was used on a lot of pictures?
Juzam Jin?
Yeah, that's the one. I mean, it's pretty bad now by today's standards. It's decent. It's a 5/5 flying for 4, deals 1 damage at your upkeep, and
That's it?
Yeah, two uncolored black.
Yeah.
Rather generic.
However, I highly doubt, due to Wizards of the Coast's unhealthy attachment to the reserve list, that we'll see any showings of Juzam Jin.
So the reserve list we're still reckoning.
Yeah, I do not see Wizards of the Coast abandoning the reserve list anytime soon, even for a set as monumental as Iconic Masters.
Iconic Masters. Vintage Masters was never printed in paper, right? That
It was
only
not.
online. Think this could be like a real-life version of that one?
Assuming all the reserve list cards are removed, yes.
Oh, they were reserved on that one too, weren't they?
Yep. There was Power 9 in the bonus slot, which was which for those of you who don't know is as common as the average foil mythic rare.
Okay. Or the
And then
common
there
as a
were
masterpiece.
And then there were the 10 original dual lands.
They did those ones in there. Interesting. You think they could... Iconic Masters. It would no longer be iconic, but do you think they could rename the dual lands and give us those? Or would they just like say fully to the reserved list and give us those?
If we're getting anything from the reserve list, we are getting the reserve list copies. One of the clauses of the reserve list is they also will not functionally reprint anything on the reserved list.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. Learn something new every day, don't you?
Lots of things.
Indeed. Well, today was a special day, not because today marks the 25th anniversary, although it is approaching swiftly. Today marks a day where hopefully the metagame in Standard becomes quite a bit more healthy. Today is the release of the new set, Amonkhet, and as per such, we have gone to our local game stores, as you should, support local business, and indulged ourselves in my personal favorite way to play, and that is in Limited. Limited is so gorgeous because it doesn't matter how much you spend on your cards, you are all getting the same cards. It's not like Vintage, where the game ends on turn 1. And it's not like Commander, where Commander's my second favorite, but even that has some parasite to spending a lot of money and getting a lot of great cards. Jason takes full advantage of this.
Oh, you know I do.
I'm a fan as well.
These two, actually, yeah, Dakota's got a pretty sweet deck. He just barely started playing the game, but it's top tier. It's a good, it'll cream you one-on-one.
If I can get lands.
If you can get lands. But he's getting better. He's got quite a few rocks in his deck, and it's really improving. But this, Amonkhet, the Egyptian deck, the other side of the coin to Theros. And both of us, Jason and I, drafted and played quite a bit of Theros. And that was a lot of Battle Cruiser magic, and this is not at all Battle Cruiser magic. I don't even know what to really call this. What would you maybe give like a one-sentence summary of it as?
It's pretty Zerg rushy.
That's a fair, yeah. It's a good Zerg rush kind of thing. You got a lot of strategies that are going very, very wide. Like, looking around at the boards, like, looking at Dakota's board that one game, how many creatures were on the field? It was like 16 altogether.
Which game?
There's the one where you're playing the other green-white deck, I think it was. Or was it a green-blue? It was a green-blue deck.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of cards there.
That was a ridiculous match. The parity was ridiculous. There's a lot of greatness. Let's just go around. Dakota, what did you run? How did you play this, prove this?
Well played, white, green.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have very many, yes, mana rocks.
No, you typically don't see those in Limited.
Please everyone forgive my non-magic lingo.
It's alright. Again, he's only played for a couple of weeks. He came out, what was your record? Did you win any games?
Yes, he won 2 matches, no games.
Okay, fair enough. Still very new, but our game store was pretty nice. Gave him a pack anyways. Back up in Washington. This is a very small... Jason and I are both from Washington, the birthplace of Wizards of the Coast, and as such, it's kind of like the Mecca. There, you can't throw a stone without hitting a Magic the Gathering player, I reckon. You also can't throw a stone without hitting a furry, so I don't know how much of a great example that is.
Well, the Seahawks also can't throw a football without hitting a Magic player, as showed off by the command zone this past week.
I think that definitely proves the point then. If even the football player jocks are playing Magic the Gathering, then it's gotta get support up there in Washington. So there's only like 11 players at this event, but he did not get last. You were in 10th? 12th? Not 12th. That would be bad. Don't play the last. Sorry, I meant 9th.
Give up all games.
Give up all games. Instant lose. What were the powerhouses? What were your bombs in your deck? You got some pretty sweet ones.
I did have, probably the best one I was able to use was the Glory Bound Initiate. Except for every single time I got him, somebody either made me sacrifice him, or yes, made him so he can't attack or block. I think I only got to attack with him twice the entire all games.
You see, that is a sign of a fantastic card for me. If an opponent must immediately answer, then it has entered God tier level. Unfortunately, Glory Bound Initiative is a very fragile card. A small 3/1 for 2 whenever it's not attacking literally dies to everything. Even the smallest of burn spells will get rid of it. There's one that does 1 damage to all creatures, and that will toast a instantly summoned Glory Bound Initiate. So you gotta protect your egg. But when you did attack with it, were those the games that you won?
Yes, actually, one of them.
There you go. You turn Glory Bound Initiate, you kind of win. 8-point life swing tends to do that.
Except for I got him up to 7.
What do you mean?
I put a lot of bonuses on him.
Very nice.
Got him 7.
What were some of the other all-stars of your deck?
I was able to get Oketra the True out once, and actually use her.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. and it actually worked very well.
So the gods, definitely. I think what we're learning here is that the rares were pretty bomb. I think that's a pretty fair assessment for a lot of sets, but especially in this one. Like in the last set, vehicles stole the show. My goodness. What was the train? The one from the first set?
I think it was the Renegade Express. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a common that you could first pick over mythics. Oh, it's a crazy card. And I'm glad to see the pendulum kind of swing back, because I like rare drafting. I like seeing those gold symbols. I like seeing those gold symbols win games. Even being on the other side, it's pretty sweet to be attacked by a really cool creature, especially if you have a fantastic answer for it. Maybe lower down the rarities, what kind of commons and uncommons did you see kind of really shine?
Vitalist. Is that how you pronounce that?
Naga? Yeah.
Anyway.
Describe what does.
2, 1. It's a 1/2 for 2. Tap, add to your mana pool 1 mana of any type. Land you can any land that you can control, what it can produce. I'm bad at this.
That's alright.
But
So-
that saved me in many a situation.
Describe. How does?
Well, most of the time when we had 1 green, there's a number of creatures that cost 2 green. But hey, howdy, hey, I had that and was able to summon a lot of creatures.
Yeah, that's fair. It's like a exotic orchid on lakes. And, you know, a lot of the time,
Slithers.
it's yes, I guess it does not have legs. That's a Steven Universe reference. It has no legs. It's so sad. That's alright. Slithering snakes continuing to prove their worth. Jason, what'd you end up running?
I had more of a mid-rangey black-green shell with a small amount of cycling synergy to it. My record ended up being 2 wins and 1 loss. Close loss, by the way.
As always. What was the final life points on that last loss? I know you were 1 turn away from winning.
I was 1 turn away from stabilizing.
Stabilizing, that's fair.
A big lifelink creature tends to bring you down quickly, so at one point I had my opponent down all the way at 8 life, but by the end of things he was back up at 18 by the time I finally decided I couldn't win.
Yeah, gaining 10 life tends to do that, especially when it comes at the expense of your life or your creatures. What were the bombs? How did the rares favor in your favor?
Well, I had a couple games where when I dropped my Archfiend of Infear, is I suppose how you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
A couple times when I dropped that and cycled a card to trigger its, whenever you cycle or discard another card, put a -1/-1 counter on each creature your opponent's control ability, my opponent just scooped on the spot.
Really?
Yeah.
Instant scoop.
Instant scoop.
You can't really beat that. 2 mana, target player loses the game. I think that's a lot better than Door to Nothingness has ever given us.
I also had access to a Vizier of the Menagerie. This Naga Cleric allowed me to look at the top card of my library, and even if that top card was a creature, I could cast it, and he also allowed me to spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast creature spells. However, most of the time, rather than getting to cast free creatures off of my library, ended up using his look ability to see, should I cycle a card to try and get something better, or should I hold on to what I had?
That's a very interesting interaction. I had never even thought about that one.
There was one game, this was the game that sealed my fate in getting that 1 match loss. I had the Vizier out and was using his ability to look for a 5th land. I had been stuck on 4 lands most of the game, and I had a couple of cycling cards in my hand that I could just cash in immediately if I saw land on top of my library.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I never did, and by the time I got my 5th land out and stabilized using the Archfiend I mentioned before, I was already too far behind to make too big of an impact on the game at that point.
Mm-hmm. That's That's rough. But it happens. Such is the fate when we play these randomly distributed games. Did either of you face down much exert cards?
I did, although most of my opponents were too conservative with them to actually exert them.
Interesting.
In fact, I probably would have gone 1 and 2 rather than 2 and 1 if my first opponent had exerted his creatures more often than he did, which was never.
That's fair. Dakota almost killed me. We played round 1. He almost killed me with one of his exert guys. And one of my games I won solely because of exerting. I had a very unfair combination going where I had both of my glory bringers out and they were alternating exerting. So it was every turn the opponent was being hit by a 4/4 and a creature was dying. And that's pretty unfair. I think so. When they were exerting, how did you feel the power was? Was it worth it to exert?
I did feel it was worth it to exert. The one exert creature I had oftentimes got large enough that it would be able to eat and survive any creature that dared block it.
I think that's the biggest bonus, personally. What I've seen from exert. You had Hooded Brawler in your deck, right?
Yes.
And I think that one's an excellent example of exerting, because normally, in Limited, a 3/2 for 3, that's fine. That's like your 22-23 card. And you're not going to be upset, but you're not going to be happy playing it either. What Hooded Brawler does is, it's that decent body for the first half of the game. And then, something magical happens, where it also becomes relevant late game. And if a magic card can do that, it automatically moves itself echelons up. What rarity is the Hooded Brawler?
Basic.
It's a common.
It's a common.
That's what it's called.
Yeah. So you're going to be seeing these. Like, I loved the Emberhorn Minotaurs. I don't think they're first pickable. They're 4/3s for 4, so what are those? Grey Ogres? No Giants? What are they?
I don't think there's a vanilla that's a 4/3 for 4.
Okay, maybe not. They're decent creatures. They're not super fantastic. Like, normally a 4/3 would trade with a 3/2, and that's about the best situation a 3/2 could ever want. killing things that are bigger than it. And that's about what you get usually when you play 4/3. You get feeling sad. But this guy, he exerts to be a massive 5/4 menace. And that usually 2-for-1s. If not, it gets in for 5. Pretty consistently. Like, you know when to exert or not. And it does take a little bit of smarts to figure it out. But I think more than half the time you should be exerting these creatures.
Oh, there was no time I didn't attack with my Hooded Brawler that I didn't exert it.
Every single time.
Every single time.
That's fair. You're losing a damage that way, but that +2 toughness, I think, really pushes it over the edge.
I also had a couple copies of Initiate's Companion, though, that let me, whenever my opponent was too busy blocking the larger 5/4, when my 3/1 cat sneaked in, I would also then be able to untap my Brawler.
See, I think that's the key of the little cat. To get them in a position where it's the wrong move to block the cat, but it was the right move to block the cat. This format is going to be really interesting in draft. Sealed is a lot of fun because you get to see a lot of cards. And none of us did it this time, but I have in Sealed gone one color in the first couple rounds and then completely switched, like even to another deck. I have a second deck in my sideboard, because you can have whatever you want for your sideboard.
Yeah. I mean, I had enough cards in my sideboard that if I had needed to, had this deck not performed, I could have completely switched over to a white-black zombies shell.
Sure. And which would be very interesting to see a zombie shell in Sealed. In draft, I think you can do it, but Sealed, it's pretty risky. Don't have as many guarantee on the payoff cards. But you did have the... Did anyone see any zombie dudes running around, or anyone playing the zombie deck?
My last opponent, the one who beat me, he was running pretty heavily into zombies. He had the Liliana's Mastery Enchantment as one of his rares. 5 mana for 2/3/3s, and giving all your other zombies +1/+1 is pretty brutal.
That one's playable by itself, though. You don't really need a zombie theme. So we had a cycling, we had a exert, that's myself, and just general green-white good stuff.
Just try whatever you get.
Try whatever you get. Anyone see a lot of Embalm? I didn't have any Embalm in my deck. And the one deck I faced, it felt bad playing against Embalm. Embalm is such a good ability.
It is insane. Part of what made my last opponent's white-black zombie deck work so well was he had 4 or 5 Embalm creatures.
And Embalm gives them the zombie type, so then they come back stronger
Yeah.
than when they died.
I had a number of Embalm. I did not use them as much as I should have. I probably could have won one of the games if I had.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of forgot that they had that thing.
That's fair. Unlike Aftermath, you do have to pay a bit more attention to Embalm. When the Aftermath cards were online, I hated how they looked. I thought they were ugly pieces of garbage. But in function, they work really good. I think that turning them sideways is perfect, and when you exile them, traditionally I would turn my cards sideways to put them in the graveyard, from exile from the graveyard, but just taking them out, that works perfectly fine.
Not to mention their power level is up there a bit as well. I had Mouth to Feed, the mono green Aftermath card in my deck today, and the 3/3 Hippo for 3 was pretty good and limited to begin with. But then the surprise later when I have a large board presence but no hand, getting a fresh hand, that was awesome.
So I guess the real question, and sorry Dakota, you might not be able to wade into this one as much. There isn't a ton for EDH in this set. It's a good set, don't get me wrong. There's like a handful of cards, like the Monuments, the new, like all the little legendary uncommons. Those ones are decent for starting EDHs, especially creature heavy ones. The blue one's pretty garbage because you don't want a lot of creatures in blue decks.
Yeah. Blue decks of creatures are doing EDH very, very wrong.
Yeah, pretty awfully. And they don't work very well except for in monocolored decks because they only affect creatures, and usually the more powerful cards are the spells that are multicolored and not really the creatures that are gold, so they don't really get affected too much. But they're okay for starting EDHs, and I want a couple for some of them. Like my werewolves could use the green and the red ones, just because they have decent abilities and it's very creature heavy decks. Do not think anything's reaching back into modern.
No.
No, don't even laugh about Legacy or Vintage, dear heavens. But Standard.
I could see the Greater Sandworm hitting modern for Living End.
The Greater Sandworm.
Mm-hmm.
The
7
common.
power creature that you can cycle into your graveyard as early as turn 2. And then Living End back around turn 4-ish or 3, whenever you get and hit your Cascade card.
That's fair. It's fair. Don't they normally just self-mill though?
Actually, if you look at current Living End lists, most of the creatures they run are large creatures with cheap cycling.
Okay. Is the Greater Sandworm bigger than what they got right now?
I believe it at very least ties the biggest, if not is the biggest.
Well, then that's very fair. And it has evasion.
Yeah. No getting chump blocked by small things.
Anything in the red deck, that's for sure. Red deck aggro would have a very hard time taking that down. I guess there's that other card that could see modern. The other Swift Spear. What is it?
The Soul Scar Mage, the red 1-drop prowess.
Yeah, that one's pretty decent. But Standard. Standard right now is a game of rock, paper, scissors. Snakes. I don't know which ones represent who. But we got green black snakes. We got the Mardu vehicles, which is dominating and crushing and killing everything. It's like rock, paper, scissors. If
But rock beats everything.
rock beats everything.
And then you have everyone's least favorite combo deck ever,
Oh.
Copycat.
Copycat. When's the band announcement coming up?
I believe I believe it should be coming up this Monday, April 23rd.
More on that next week.
Or no, 24th, yeah.
Wonderful. Do you think they'll get rid of the cat, or do you think they'll get rid of Saheeli?
If I had to take a guess, they'd probably eliminate, if they're banning anything, the Planeswalker who only has a use in the combo.
Interesting. Because I've heard a lot of people, what, $3 card?
Something like that, and now she's, what, 25 a pop?
Oh yeah, she's worth it. I want to be. Do you remember when Grey Merchant got printed, and there was that one guy on Reddit that had the stacks and stacks of the rat one, Pack Rat, and Pack Rat was like a 25-cent card, if not, like, you could give them away. They were so cheap. And then they went up to like a $10, $15 card. And this one kid became a millionaire. Granted, he probably had like stacks and stacks of every rare in the set and didn't see any returns on anything else. But those people that really love Saheeli Rai are rolling in it right now. But they may not be come Monday.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people want to get rid of Feldar instead of Saheeli, because Feldar is also only used in that combo, and the threat of Feldar, and maybe them making, like, Wizards has said that they didn't see that coming. That was an accident. They should have seen it. It was pretty blatantly obvious. Like, it took the community like I don't know if it was even a week. They probably were commenting on it on Mythic Spoiler.
I believe they were.
But,
Ouch.
yeah. Wizards can make some mistakes. They can have their ups, they can have their downs. This ban, I think, would free up a lot of things.
Well, the biggest argument for banning Saheeli over banning Felidar is that Saheeli existed in a standard environment without Felidar and saw no play whatsoever. We don't know about that with Felidar because it has only ever existed alongside the Saheeli combo.
That's true. Give the cat a chance to live. Don't kill it in its cradle. Maybe there's something else that makes it deserving of a ban later.
The only nail in the coffin I could see for the Felidar is the price tag on Saheeli compared to the price tag on the Felidar.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be a lot of angry copycat players if the Saheelis they dropped easily $100 on get banned.
That's true. Because if Saheeli gets banned, there's absolutely no chance for it. It's banned, and its price is going to go away. Like, you can't play that in Modern, can you? I mean, it's a decent, but
Splinter Twin and Kiki, well, Splinter Twin prior to its banning and Kiki Jiki still now were and are both superior decks to Copycat.
sure. And there's so much, like, part of the problem right now is there's no control. I hate blue mana, and I hate blue players. I know you like blue, but...
Actually, I don't.
Okay.
I'm just good at playing it.
Yeah, fair game. It's fair game. But it's just... Blue, I hate it, but it's good because it controls the meta. There are some decks that just cannot exist because control exists. And Copycat, if we had good control, Copycat could not exist. Mardu Vehicles could still exist because it is too consistent, it's just beat down, ridiculous. Good deck. Snake could still exist because it has You can do the delirium route, you can do energy, you have a million different things. Yes, you counter the snake and that hurts it, but it's still a lot of good cards.
Well, I have a feeling that snake aggro decks are going to start going away with the release of Amonkhet, due to the fact that when opponents place -1/-1 counters on your creatures, the amount will be increased by 1 by the snake as well.
This is true. Is the snake only affect your creatures, or is it a world effect?
It is a your creatures effect.
Okay, that's good. Because I was thinking it was a global effect, and I thought I kind of want to build a black-green -1/-1 counter deck, and if it's a world effect, it's got no legs. It's got no legs because the snake has no legs. And ladies and gentlemen, those are the puns. Because like one of the best ones, the 4/4 for 2, would come into play and die, and that's not fun.
Although most of the time that 4/4 for 2, rather than putting the -1/-1 counters on itself, is going to be sticking it on your unfortunate 1-drop.
Your unfortunate blister pod. Which,
Or Tattered Mummy to put a -1/-1 counter on any small creature your opponent has.
exactly. So, or and then the 2-drop is going to be the whatever it is. What's that one? And that works well with the snake too, because then it takes off. It puts 2 counters on the snake, and then it's just a humble little 0/1 waiting to die to anything. And even a Gear Hulk, putting all of its counters on it, is still only putting 3, which is a big swing from 5.
Yeah. Or potentially 8 if the Gear Hulk distributed his counters among 4 creatures.
Yes, most definitely. I am really excited to see the Pro Tour. I'm really excited to see what these things have, or impact these cards have, the new decks that come out, the new metas that are created, because I really think that a good healthy meta is a good watching meta. I don't play a lot of Standard. The rotation scares me, and all the really strong decks scare me. And having to buy 4 cards scares me. I've played EDH for so many years. I love buying 1 card.
Standard cycle shakes things up. Although I'm actually betting my money on a second snake printed in Eldritch Moon rising to the forefront. Noose Constrictor.
Now
Red
do
Green
tell.
Madness has several hallmarks of the old Odyssey block days of Green-Blue Madness. You have Incorrigible Use from Shadows over Innistrad, which does its best impression of Arrogant Worm.
That one has Madness 0, right?
No.
No, okay.
Madness 2 in a red, but it's a 4/3 haste.
Yes.
As opposed to the Worm, which had Madness 2 in a green for a 4/3 trample.
Haste is a little bit more relevant.
We have Fiery Temper, which we also had back during the Odyssey days, doing what it does best.
And in a world where all we can get is shock, Lightning Bolt looks so delicious.
Particularly when that Lightning Bolt is also giving your Noose Constrictor +1/+1 until end of turn.
And you can still do it instant speed just like Lightning Bolt for free. It's like a Lightning Bolt, ladies and gentlemen. We have it again.
But then there's the matter of Honored Hydra from Amonkhet. The 6-mana 6/6 trampling Hydra that has Embalm costing 4 mana.
What's the color weight on that one? Is it just green?
Just a single green.
Oh, that's so delicious unto me.
This is strictly better, in my opinion, than Roar of the Worm.
Well, it has to be.
Costs 1 less to cast, but no one's ever going to do that. They're just going to dump it into their graveyard, then embalm it.
And it has trample.
Yep.
And it's, like, Roar of the Worm is great, because if you, like, I mean, a good comparison, because they're almost identical. But this one has a huge advantage, because if you ever get up to the 6 mana and you actually cast it, your opponent can't bounce it. Roar of the Worm, your opponent bounces your worm, and you are SOL, you son of a gun. This one, it's back in your hand, and you can play it again. It's wonderful. The cards are good, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, so I fully expect Red Green Madness to be making an impact on this standard season. It's just too good right now.
And it does have that new Shatter Spree, too.
It does.
Come up against Mardu vehicles, because...
Although I have a feeling that the Manglehorn is going to be more useful in sideboard than the than the new X destroy artifacts in red.
Okay. I do think it's going to be good. More useful? Do tell.
You see, even if both Felidar Guardian and Saheeli Rai remain in standard for this upcoming rotation, the Manglehorn makes all artifacts your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. The token copies made by Saheeli Rai are artifacts.
There you have it.
It comes down turn 3 and says goodbye to the infinite damage cats.
It's just a 2/2 though, right?
Yeah.
It does stop the combo. I will say that.
And
It just might push it off a turn though, because they have shock.
And someone correct me if I'm wrong, but it also destroys an artifact on them entering the battlefield.
Oh yes, that's the good part of it. That's the part that makes it fight Mardu vehicles, because it gets rid of the hearts. The Kirans and the Aether collectors are ridiculous, and it makes it so you can no longer drunk drive with stupid scuttling whatever it is, scrap heat scrounger. That card has a million DUIs because it comes into play and gets in the heart of Kiran. It can't block, but it can pilot a 4/4 flying. Vigilance, ridiculous piece of garbage. They made Smuggler's Copter, that was too good, so they decided to give it +1/+1.
And Vigilance.
And Vigilance, because that is how we make fair magic cards. Oh, wizards.
Although now that we've mentioned Mardu vehicles, I also have a feeling that if there are any bans, that either Harvester or Heart will be among them.
I don't want to see them go because they're very cool. I
But
love
they need
vehicles,
to go because they're ruining standard.
but they need to go. They are literal trump cards. If the trump card flipped the table over and shot the opponent in the face. They are ridiculous. They can't be removed by sorcery speed removal. We have no wraths in the format. All of the cards in the deck are so resilient that even though the few wraths that we do have, don't get rid of them. They just come back. Even our graveyard hate. Our graveyard hate is pretty trash. The best one is the one that is black, choose 3, and then has... That's main deckable at this point.
Yeah. Even the artifact cats, they give your opponent the ability to save the 2 most important cards they have in their graveyard.
Let's see, 2 Scrap Heap Scroungers, they're sticking around.
An artifact creature plus, say, one of the new Aftermath cards. Oh, look, 2 cards in my graveyard, but I still have Delirium.
Yeah. So, long and short of it, Standard sucks. I hope it gets better. Because I love Standard. I love talking about it. I think it's the coolest format, but right now, it's the whiniest format. And we're part of the problem. We're whining a lot. There's really cool things happening. They're cool decks that are really cool. They've just been along for far too long. We need to see some new ones. Any last thoughts on Almond Cat? Almond Cat, as the great Tolarian professor calls it?
I think my last thought would have to be, if you're drafting, don't sleep on the greater sandworms.
Yes, they will not table. And if they do, green is wide open. If they are, you can table your Nisses at that point.
Yeah.
Don't try and table a Nissa.
No, please don't.
Dakota?
I think if I were to add anything, you said it earlier, but commons are very good at getting rid of mythic rares for some reason.
That they are. That they are. They've done a good job of printing removal in this set. The removal in Aether Revolt was pretty subpar. And although we don't have Doomblade, we do have Black Exile. We do have 4 mana instant speed deal 4. We do have Pacifism again. Every color has its removal. And Limited needs that removal. Standard needs it more. Standard needs it so much more. And it still doesn't have it. But Limited needs that good removal.
Well, green only gets a couple very subpar removal spells.
Not its fight spell. How do you pronounce it?
Cartouche.
The Cartouche.
That's like the only piece of removal green has that isn't specifically aimed at flyers.
True, but it's good. And it has the best flying removal. We used to be fine with it. No, we didn't. We wouldn't put that in the deck. We used to laugh at Leaf Arrow because it was bad. Now we have a -1/-1 counter one, and it's good. It turns the blue god into a Windrake.
With a drawback.
With a drawback. And if you can turn your opponent's god into a Windrake, you won. You might still die because Windrake is a good card, but you won. The moral realm. Anyone who's listening is a pretty decent nerd already and probably has an idea that you should take your removal spells when drafting. But I think that this set is good balance. I think Jason put it best earlier when he said it's a toolbox. And although you're usually going to be 2 colors, I wouldn't be surprised seeing 3 and 4, and if you get that one Naga, you could play 5-color good stuff. This set is a lot of fun. It reminds me a lot of Theros, not just because of the theme, but from the bottom-up design. It's a lot like Innistrad, it's a lot like Theros. It has a really good draft format. If you were burnt out by Kaladesh, like I think most people who play Kaladesh were, sick and tired of seeing energy and being destroyed by vehicles, even in Limited, then come back. This set is great. It's full of joy and wonder.
And white zombies.
And white zombies. No longer are we relegated to just seeing endless amounts of black zombies. We need more white zombies. We gotta balance out this ratio. And with that mildly, we'll call it trigger-heavy statement, we conclude this part of plotting. Thank you for joining us, Jason. And now it's just an intimate affair between Dakota and myself. Now, one last little thing about plots I wanted to mention is the newly released ukulele game. I have not gotten it yet, though I feel I will be indulging very heavily in this game as soon as finals are over. I grew up on the Nintendo 64. We never had a GameCube. We had the Nintendo 64 from basically when it came out to the Wii. So a very long time, a very close and personal time blowing these cartridges day in and day out. Anywho,
Again, word choice is everything.
word choice is central. It is the soul of narrative. A lot of the reviews have been rather negative. I don't think it's been fair. I think the most favorable review I've seen for it was I paid for an N64 remake and I got an N64 remake. Were some things tedious? Yes. Was the camera controls a little janky? Yes. Were some of the bosses ridiculously difficult? Of course. But that's what the N64 was. It had the most beautiful music, it had wonderful level design, and it had the most favorable characters in a video game that I've seen. And I really can't, if this review is even half true, I really can't wait to indulge myself in this one. So, anyone that's not fully committed, like myself, I think now's about the time that we should all take the plunge. Because this is really a community-sponsored game, and I feel like we really should fund it like we have before, and we have now. Now. Dakota and myself, Palmer, we are a couple of silly RM fools. In fact, I would call us eternal RMs. And
By definition, yes.
by definition, indeed. Constantly amazed at how different the world is, and how wonderful it is that things have changed.
Constantly disappointed as well.
Constantly, 100% disappointed. I heard a little saying that was, the first day you go home, you realize that your family's going to hell. The next day you realize that you're going to hell, and the third day you don't care. And I think that's been a pretty safe trajectory for myself. Dakota is nodding on an audio podcast.
I agree completely.
A little bit more genuine. Anywho, and recently I have fallen in love deeply with a delicious show, Steven Universe. And as I no longer can evangel, or being in Utah, really have the opportunity to evangelize about much of anything, I have taken up the metaphorical cross of the rose insignia of rose quartz, and more so than Pearl herself, have gone around and paraded the glory that is the greatness of Steven Universe. One of my victims, nay, even one of my converts, is sitting before me, Dakota Blackett. Dakota, how have you been enjoying this masterpiece?
Started out rough, most definitely.
Oh, I entirely agree. Anyone that says the first 3 episodes were gold sent to us by an angel, a cerebrum named Rebecca Sugar, is kidding themselves.
I think probably around episode 8, I started chuckling at the jokes.
You'll understand this as we go on, but a chuckle is like a gut-wrenching belly laugh from your average folk. Ocean Gem and Mirror Gem. 25 and 26. I'm a huge nerd. I've only seen all these episodes once, except for a small handful. One thing that Steven Universe really is near and dear to me about, unlike every other show I've binge-watched, this is the only show that I've gone back and rewatched episodes, because it has made me feel emotions that I cannot get out of other shows. Dakota is looking off, pondering the mere thought of what an emotion is. And
No, I'm just thinking that the word choice is also key in this one.
What?
Don't extrapolate too much.
What do you mean? Extrapolate, what did I say?
Nothing.
Okay, fine. Indulge himself as much as me, but that's okay, because I am a ravenous nerd who engorges himself on televised programming.
And also mostly because you insisted I don't finish season 1 until today.
This is also true. He probably would be on season 2 if it weren't for me.
I'd be on season 3.
I was about to say, almost finished, if not on. We just watched the delicious climax of season 1. Arguably 2 of the best. This is comedy. Dakota, and I will use them. I will use them in every sense of their words. I will keep coming back to them.
Maybe not every sense of the words, please.
All of them. I will stand proud. I will stand up, erect for what these words mean.
What rating do we want this podcast to be?
I want this to be myself and you being ourselves. Because that's all we really can be if we are putting forth our honest effort.
Fair enough.
Anyways, so we just watched some of the most fabulous episodes. I will thought. Which ones beat it in season 1? Because that is all you have seen.
I would go with, no, I'm not as big of a nerd as Palmer, the alpha nerd, in any room on the planet he is in.
It's because I draw energy from the fellow nerds in the room. I can detect who is a weeaboo. I can detect who is an otaku. I can smell who is a comic book overlord. And I pull the power from them and take it into myself, much like Majin Buu or Cell. Actually, exactly like Cell. I eat them with my tail. Continue.
Yes, thank you. As I was saying, I do not have the show's episodes names memorized or order, but I did enjoy the The one with Stefani.
Okay.
That
Stefani
was
is
fair.
great.
She, he, it, whatever they are.
They are not
Girl.
one person. They are not two people. They're an experience.
And they had fun.
Garnet.
But yes, that episode was very pleasing. Surprisingly, also the giant woman song one.
You loved Opal?
Yes, I did like Opal.
Cool.
Not so much the giant woman song itself. What was the other one?
Rose's Scabbard?
No, not that one. The Space Race.
Space
I do
Race.
have that one only because he's mentioned it more than once.
It's because Space Race is also great. Emotional. Anytime any of the characters cry, I also cry.
Steven cries a lot.
Okay, maybe not every time. Definitely every time Garnet does, because that's when you know stuff's real.
When has she cried? I think she's cried once.
Exactly. She cries later too. Spoiler warning, Garnet cries. Oh dear.
Okay. And for also those listening, this is probably going way out of my personal character, but Garnet's probably the character that I connect most with.
Why is that going out of your character? That's exactly your character.
I don't compare myself to anything.
What do you mean?
What?
You don't have a fan version of yourself?
No.
No? Not in any of your media?
No.
Wow, interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a person with no fansonas.
I don't even know what that is.
That is where you draw yourself or create a character of yourself in universe.
I've never done that. I've thought of it.
There you go. That's part of it. Do you not connect with like Ryan or other characters from books?
Oh, I would be a Mistborn. What are they called? Ashaman. That'd be great. Hopefully, no one gets those references.
I'm having a hard time here. All of my alpha nerd powers are crumbling at the sure power of book nerd.
Book nerd wins. He cannot take my powers.
It's really quite a different spectacle altogether. You cannot read manga while also watching anime the same way that one would do with book nerd things. You kind of have to be dedicated to the craft.
Well, manga's canon, anime drifts. Fact.
Speaking of rocks, the gems.
Okay, fine, back to that.
So we did just watch, and now Dakota has a song that he actually likes in the season. Stronger Than You.
Yes. Likes is a stretch. It was extremely appropriate-ish. It was the most appropriate song in season 1.
I could tell his imagination was being stretched when Garnet got thrown into the wall and was still singing.
Oh no, that was perfectly fine.
That
I'm
was
okay with
perfectly
that.
fine? Really?
She was absolutely happy being beat up because she was just kind of happy.
She's happy being together.
Exactly, so being thrown into a wall wouldn't change that.
And I don't completely agree with that, but sure, why not?
That's what I would do.
I'm happy when I'm with you, but if I were thrown into a wall, I would not be just as happy. Then again, my body is not made of light. My body is made of squishy.
Squishy and cracks.
Cracks?
Like, your skin squish, bones crack.
Oh, okay. Delightful.
Yeah, not my best metaphor.
We met two of the new crystal gems, new to us. They've been around the whole time. Not Rose. I lied. I was thinking roses are red. I'm sorry. Ruby and Sapphire. Thoughts, impressions? Did that come out of nowhere? What were you thinking?
It came out of nowhere. It makes a whole lot of sense. What's the phrase? Retrospect.
In retrospect, exactly. Hindsight is 20/20.
Yes. Although it was immediately apparent as soon as small, red, squarish hair gem was found.
That's true. I almost wish we found Sapphire first. Would she?
Yeah, you can't see her eyes. Or probably just eye.
Just because you can't see her eyes, what is that even at? What?
I would have made the connection.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she has the same, like, lower face as Garnet.
Lower gesticulations, again. Audio format.
Fine, I will verbalize it. From eyes down, her non-able to see eyes down, her lips are in the very same formation as Garnet's. And I am moving my physical hand in front of my physical face.
As opposed to your metaphysical hand or your metaphysical third eye, much like Garnet. I was so excited when this happened. We have another friend, Carlos. We'll try and get him on at some point. Carlos, I say we, mostly me. Carlos introduced me to this show. And from the episode where they go to the, wherever it is,
Ocean Temple?
no, the arcade. Ocean Temple. Was there something revealed in Ocean Temple?
No, they should go there.
Okay, they do go there. They go a lot of places. Every episode they go somewhere. Even if they stay there, they are there.
Well, it was one of the earlier ones. I was assuming you meant, like, the beginning when we started watching, so
Okay, okay.
that's my connection.
When they go to the arcade, and Garnet's glasses get knocked off, we see that she has 3 eyes. And Dakota took this in stride.
I was fine with it. It made sense.
I was so disappointed, because when I saw it, I was like, this means something more. I started drawing lines in my room with red tape and markers everywhere, pictures. It was ridiculous and bad. I knew Garnet had to be a fusion, and I yelled basically at Carlos for an hour, giving all of the evidence why she had to be and all the evidence why she didn't have to be. And I was looking forward to being that with you. But I lost that connection. But that's okay. Because, I don't know, doesn't dig as deep as me. But that's alright. We need all viewers.
Yeah, I just assumed that her future vision thing was the third eye, like that's all it was. That she can see the future, so she naturally has 3 eyes.
Like TN.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. It does make sense. Especially because this show does take a lot from anime and video games. Kind of incorporates those tropes. Not as much as, like, again, there's no fan service character, and there won't be. All of the characters are very much drawn, so that can't happen. I guess the dances are sort of fan servicey.
Oh, yeah.
When they form Seagulite. When Garnet is doing her final move, spreads her legs. It's hilarious. Make
Yeah.
Dakota feel awkward.
That's also what I'm talking about, the controversy right there. Rather strange.
Look, just because we're in conservative Utah doesn't mean my liberal Washingtonian ideas can't come down and infest you. I mean infest in the nicest of ways. I love all people.
Yes, they do have that right to infest, but I will still be offended.
Oh, don't be offended. That's your choice. It's your choice to be offended.
Exactly. As will all the other liberal, non-liberal Utahns, I mean.
For you. What else have you been catching up on?
What else in the Steven universe?
Well, I mean, we kind of finished that well. You have some theories. What are your new
Oh,
theories?
yes.
You've reformulated your theories recently.
Before I'd even watched the first episode, Palmer, I'm gesturing towards him.
You can just say it. It's implied gesture. Your gesticulations don't all have to be. We're not like in a film noir. We're not
Still
walking
silent.
in there. It gets like some weird jazzy music. I walked in the room. Dakota was sitting down. The same obsequious smile painted across his ever-bland face. His nose, if anything, was not noticeable, as it was such plain.
That will be a discussion for another time. Anyway, Palmer described a brief overview of what Steven Universe was. I can't speak. And from how he described Steven, how his mom sacrificed herself so he could be there, I made the assumption that she would be coming back because that's what happens to characters that do that. Like, if you give me like an hour, I could probably come up with at least 5 examples of how that happened.
Here's a pretty famous one, Jesus Christ. He's a relatively famous example of someone that sacrifices himself so others can live and comes back. A less religious example, but still also religious, would probably be Aslan from the...
There's no D.
What?
There's no D in Aslan.
There's no D in Aslan? Aslan? How am I supposed to say it?
The Aslan, A-S-L-A-N.
And how did I say it?
Asland.
I did say land.
Twice.
Aslan. Aslan? Atlazan. That's a magic set that's coming out. Continue.
Anyway, but after I discovered, over the course of the episode, that Rose was actually an extremely important character, it became very obvious she is not coming back because she is too important to come back.
Unlike famous characters such as Aslan or Jesus Christ. Continue.
Oh, goodness. So that was my theory there. It's really like my main theory currently. My theory of the ship hand attaching to the temple did not happen. I'm still...
In episode theory, he thought this massive hand that was coming down, that was like the size of the temple, was going to hook itself up to the temple.
I don't know what size it was. It was on the horizon, okay?
That's true, I guess. We can infer it's pretty big. The Wandering Eye was just as large as it, and that thing was massive. No, Red Eye, sorry. Wandering Eye comes later, so it's spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers. But, again, why does the temple not have a hand?
It has all its hands. They're just falling around it.
Sure, fine. One of them's got melted, by the way, and why is it still there?
I don't know.
Like, episode 1, I'm pretty sure it got melted. I was a little disappointed, but it's still there, so I'm okay.
Cartoon continuity isn't as hardcore as anime.
Oh, please, anime is not even that good.
Okay, that's true too. Finn from Adventure Time went like an entire season without his left hand, right hand? I don't remember which. Because it got chopped off. It grew back later.
Of course it did.
It's Adventure Time, whatever.
They can do what they want.
Maybe you can definitely do that. I'm trying to get back into Adventure Time. We'll talk about that later.
I'm trying to stay out of it, but he's probably going to get me in it.
Oh, you have to finish Steven Universe first.
Of course. I'll talk to you in like 2 days. Other theories. Worthy.
Not the music. I love the music. The music speaks to my soul. Though I'm a horse lover, so, you know, that's also pretty cringeworthy. And, yeah. Stop talking about the songs. About the crystal gems. You have a cool theory about them. His theory, because he's not willing, and there's lots of albums, his theory is that the crystal gems are not entirely good.
Oh, they already explained that in episode 51. His
Kind
dad
of.
says the exact same thing. Says, wait, how exactly did he say it? Like, there's no such thing as a good war.
Mm-hmm.
So, each side has their motivations. Right now we're rooting for the crystal gems, but I get the feeling at some point they're going to be kind of the bad guys, at least in Steven's eyes. You already know this.
Do I?
Well, you know whether I'm right or wrong.
This is true. This is my favorite thing that Carlos did. He just smiled and said, interesting idea. And that irked me to no end.
Don't make me spoil Attack on Titan.
Oh, you. I'll read the mangas at some point. It's just, I like doing things while I'm doing things.
Listen to music and read. I do it all the time.
But music isn't as enthralling.
You can even eat.
I relegate a lot of other study time to eating, like for school. I do that while I eat, so that I have more time to do less important things. Forget my education. I need to spend central time coming up with theories on Steven Universe when I could be theorizing about the actual universe.
That's already been done.
And we don't need to get into science just yet.
No. Not yet. Nor are there touchy subjects. Later.
So you caught up on Red vs. Blue?
All the way.
All the way caught up. That's one I need to get back into. The problem with me was that the finish to season 10 was so strong, and the drop off on season 11 was so hard. We have the same thing. I don't want to set any poor expectations, but from season 3 to season 4 in Steven Universe, it also hurt pretty bad. But that's alright, because it picks back up again. And from what you said, so does Red vs. Blue. So, I'll bite the bullet, hunker down, get through all the Tucker jokes, and make it to this magical season 14 that you're talking about so very much.
Oh, you have to get through the donut jokes. Tucker's a boss.
Donut is hilarious, don't you come at me. Donut is my spirit animal. He's right up there with the purple link from Triforce Heroes. Okay, guys. Fusion you'll meet later on. She's pretty magical. Anyway.
Whoa, I just realized now that you mention it, I think in the new trilogy, like the last 3 seasons of Red vs. Blue, Tucker's the main character.
Who's the main character in the most... Yeah, I mean, Church was the real main character, but the story really revolved around Tucker in the first few seasons.
How did I miss that?
He was the one with the sword, he had the kid, and then his sword was the key. Wait, the key's the sword? Maybe it unlocks their death.
Oh, and also, this isn't a spoiler, but we come to love Caboose even more.
Caboose is the best. I don't know how I could love him more. He's like right up there with my mother in my heart. Like, I'm running out of room for love.
Oh, Caboose. No, I still need to get into my books. Crossroads is a good series.
There's your weekly recommendation, Crossroads, or bi-weekly. Right now, while school is still in session, probably going to be bi-weekly, just because I can't always make it down to Dakota's, and he can't always make it up here to Palmer's. So, twice a month, probably, but during the summer, we'll probably do this weekly, this gym jam. Alright.
Depending on work.
Now, I have time to come down during the day. I can sacrifice that for you. I'd sacrifice anything for you, babe. Anywho.
On to fanfics.
On to fanfics, indeed. That's enough shipping for the both of us. Fanfics. I was trying to say baby, but my mouth... We will get, ladies and gentlemen. This week...
Today, at least.
Today, at least. No. Like, each week, we're going to do plots, ships, and fanfics. I will hand curate a fanfic, or you may suggest one. You don't have to hand curate it yourself. What hand curating involves is removing all of the character names, replacing them with your own character names that are unrelated to the series, taking out any defining features of the fanfic that would give it away blatantly.
Oh, you missed a few on this
I
one.
did miss a few. I think he's got this down pat because I was re-listening to it and I missed a couple. So I think he knows exactly what one it is. There's one that's particularly glaring that I really feel dumb about leaving in. But try and remove as much as possible. And the goal is to baffle Dakota, because although he is a big nerd, he does not appreciate fandoms. And I'm a massive nerd, and I love fandoms and fan fiction, and I read a lot of them. This particular fanfic is not for the faint of heart, though if you can make it through one of the Saw movies, you can make it through this.
Oh, please, I'd read this before I watch a Saw movie.
Yeah, it's not... Yeah, it's a little campy at times. It's a little gruesome, like, towards the end especially. This is a fanfic that I have renamed Pancakes. I did not want him searching up anything. I made him solemnly swear that he would not, and Dakota would not want to anyways. But,
Very true. Not after reading it, at least.
Horror does not have to be the only subset. We will do slice of life, you could do an action, you could do a thriller, you could submit any fanfic. The more popular, the better, because the more people that know it, the better it is that he has no idea what's going on. Um, so, first, I think the best little message I ever got from this magnificent person that sits before me was when he was reading and he says, this is going great so far. Page 1 ended a little ominously. Page 2 ended with leather. Is this NSFW? Because I'm at W right now and I don't want to be fired. This may or may not be NSFW depending on your work. There's nothing smexy going on, so I doubt it.
I'll make a few pointers.
There's a little kinkiness perhaps, but nothing too egregious. In the submissions, I would ask that you don't do anything too
NSFW.
Yes, exactly. Nothing explicit. Hints and gestures can be comedic at times, but let's not get down and dirty. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep this I won't say PG, but definitely 13.
Although innuendos, the cap is at infinite, so...
Oh, absolutely. Please. I need these. I can't think of it.
No innuendos right now.
Alright, so starting from the top. Pancakes.
So just knowing Palmer, I had a pretty good idea of what it was going to be based on the first paragraph. Let's see. Also, another thing that just triggered my OCD sense a little bit. Is this character name you put in supposed to be Mary Sue?
Yes, I spelled Sue so kind of partly to irk you a little bit.
Oh, so it's on purpose.
Another level of psychological torture to the fanfic. Mary Sue, I think, is definitely going to be a reoccurring character because that's just funny.
It's just rude.
But
Anyway.
in this fanfic, we have Mary Sue and Vanessa Smith, and they have a lovely little baking adventure going on. We're going to just refer to it vaguely. We're not going to read any passages except for maybe a couple. So if you want to follow along, the edited version will be in the description. The original version, there will be a link in the description, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so I'll just brief over here. It mentions our character, Mary Sue, flying around. It does mention an airplane at one point, but there's, I guess, no other indications that said character is in an airplane. So that kind of tipped me off. This character is flying on its own.
In an airplane. Definitely.
So it was going pretty well. Like, no terrible, I guess, literary mistakes.
At what point... Alright, I suppose I never really thought of where we should guess, but let's guess right now. Which fandom does that come from?
Oh, this is My Little Pony.
Oh, absolutely. At what point did you guess it?
Well, I guessed it at paragraph 1.
Really? Drat. Oh well. I was thinking of deleting that one entirely, but I kind of wanted the setup. Would that have obscured it a little bit?
No, I'll show you which other one, like, I was 80% sure My Little Pony at paragraph 1. I'll let you know at what point it became 100%. So, anyway, page 1 was going fairly well. I was being prepared for a rather normal, as I assumed what was normal fanfic. Granted, this is the first I've ever read.
I suppose I should say at this point, Pancakes is the alternate title to the fanfiction Cupcakes. And if that triggers anybody, I'm sorry.
So, I'll just read a short little bit. So, our character Vanessa Smith feeds a pancake to Mary Sue, and sounds all hunky-dory up until it says, "Okay, what now?" Mary asked. "Now," Vanessa informed her, "you take a nap." And that's when it got sketchy.
You're like, oh dear, oh gosh. It's the last sentence, right?
Second to last, but...
Good forming.
Anyway.
It's like Stephen King nonsense right there, where you have to turn the page before the slasher comes in.
I was okay with that. Like, honestly, you take a nap, like, I sensed it was getting sketchy, but I had no idea. So... Okay, I'm just going to read the first two sentences here.
When Mary regained consciousness, she found herself in a dark room. That's just fine. Second sentence. She tried to shake her head, but found that a taut leather strap held it firmly in place. I stopped at that leather, on the word leather, and emailed, is this NSFW, because I'm a W right now.
Taut leather. You can definitely include leather in your suggestions. In fact, I would encourage it.
Anyway, it gets a little, okay, yeah, worse. So, she struggled to move, but braces around her chest and limbs glued her to a rack formed from a series of sturdy planks, which spread her legs wide apart.
Yeah?
That's also when I kind of started freaking out and stopped reading for about 10 minutes.
I'm done. I'm out. Nope. Nope. So much nope. Thank you, John.
Anyway, and after that, my reaction was basically the same.
For the next 2.5 pages?
4.5.
Oh, right, it's 6 pages. I was thinking it was only 4.
But, it just spirals into a very dark, very not fun place.
Lonesome place. Vanessa, not a very kind character.
Oh, she's very nice in her mind anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
I believe she feels she's doing a favor, and that just everyone else is rude for not thinking of it that way. Which, she's probably right.
She's right. She's justified in her own head, so therefore she is justified. I really hope you don't snap one day. Because I'm one of the only people that would really be in danger.
Oh no, trust me, lots of people are in danger. We're not going to talk about that anymore. Anyway.
I think we need to talk about that a lot more. I'm a little scared. I'm not the one that's rereading the fanfic again.
This is just brushing up on the details. Anyway, so basically our character, Vanessa Smith, begins to butcher Mary Sue, so...
And not like an orderly butcher either. I would not accept this meat if I went to my local deli. I don't know where you could get horse meat either.
Yeah, somewhere. But anyway, there's a few moments where, at this point in my life, I am taking an EMT course at school, and there's a few times where I am thinking, okay, this person has died from blood loss, died from shock, literally shock, at some points.
Oh, there's definite, there's no way she's alive. But adrenaline is pumped in her, so clearly she's alive.
At some point, there's a little too much adrenaline. I think she gets a total of 3 adrenaline shots throughout this. I think she's dead. Just from the adrenaline, I think she's dead.
Even if she was just normally just standing there, just the adrenaline alone. Barring everything else.
She is... Her veins are dilated to the point where they just don't do anything. Nope. I can't remember how that adrenaline stuff works. It's,
No, it does dilate, doesn't it?
I think it constricts the veins. It's a vasoconstrictor, it dilates the airway, though, so they can breathe.
Which is good, because she needs to breathe.
For all those EMTs out there who know more than I do, please correct me, I am a fool. I think it goes... First, I don't know much about ponies, but they do have little tattoos on them for some reason.
Yes, I left in cutie mark. That was a big mistake of mine. That was pretty... was that the 100% part?
No, actually. The 100% part was...
I also left in another horse-related word. Was it the full skulls?
That was another one, but I think the first one was... Vanessa Smith comes in wearing a necklace of, I think you said fingers, but they were clacking.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's hooves.
Actually, it's unicorn horns in the original.
Well, okay then. I stand corrected, but I'm still right.
You were right.
It's interesting how that works.
I wanted to leave some of the adjectives in to give hints. I did not mean to leave any of the nouns in to give, this is what it is.
But yeah, there's a few dead giveaways.
Yeah. This is our first one, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get better. And they won't all be horse-related, so if you are screaming, or have left already, please suggest something else. I do know other fandoms. I'm a big fan of many fandoms, and I'm not going to say which one I'm going to select from next, but I have one in mind that I think will be much harder to guess.
Okay, fair enough. So, Vanessa begins by skinning off Mary's cutie marks and waving them like
read that in
pom-poms, I
there?
believe.
Oh, that's a big mistake. That's a huge mistake. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I left that one in there too.
Okay.
I changed the wings though. Every instance of wings.
Yeah, it just made it weird.
The hand one.
A little bit.
Would you turn hands off?
So yes, marks are skinned off, wings are amputated. I think at this point, well, she's cut a few other times just from the hacking on the wings, but then the nails are driven into the bottom of her feet and she is electrocuted for it was very specific on the minutes, it was like 5 or 8.
Was it really? God,
Yeah, it wasn't just like a quick thing, like she was being electrocuted for a while. I don't know how many volts, but I think she's dead.
Yeah, probably.
Like,
Volts her times kill. I don't know what she's working with though. It should just be a car battery.
maybe, probably.
Other EMTs that have continued to listen to this point. Please correct us on the amount of amps and volts, and if a car battery could kill you.
I'm gonna say yes.
Through the feet.
That'd just be painful. So, what other butchery happens at this point? There's a few, I guess, adrenaline shots
A few adrenaline
thrown in
shots.
there.
Dissects her like a frog. Makes various jokes about organs.
Oh, those puns. Those are pretty awful.
Some delicious puns. It's got her eye on you.
See, at this point, I was still, like, from the very little I know about My Little Pony, I was imagining, like, okay,
You don't have
not
to give
100%
names,
sure on
but
the
you can give
characters.
colors.
Thinking Rainbow Dash for our Mary Sue,
Okay.
okay, and I'm guessing Pinkie Pie.
You
Yeah.
got him exactly. Look at that.
I'm a slightly bigger nerd than other people think.
Look at that.
Okay.
That was going to be my next part. We were going to reveal the characters, but you got them on the head.
Yes. And the only thing I know about Pinkie Pie is I watched the death battle with her and Deadpool, so...
And no one won. It was
No
a
one.
draw. We had a closet brony, had a... what are they called? It's the Samus Aran move. I forget. No, Screw Attack. That's what it's called. Closet Brony and Screw Attack. The same one that made the Starscream vs. Rainbow Dash all those many, many years ago.
Wonderful stuff, kind of.
Yeah, that one was a little disappointing, and I'm glad that it ended in a draw, because if Pinkie Pie won, that would be ridiculous. That would be so dumb.
And if Deadpool won, we'd be unhappy.
Exactly. So really, this is the only way to do it. Alternatively, we could have done this.
True.
Pinkie Pie would have been very satisfied with a person that regenerated endlessly.
Sure. And anyway, my point being is, knowing as a very little, like, this is supposed to be like a fun, loving, very kind, all happy smiles show. So I was thinking, like, there's going to be a twist at the end. Like, all these things are going to be justified eventually. Like, it's not exactly what it seems.
Mm-hmm.
I was sorely disappointed, although exactly what I expected happened. Yeah, she is disemboweled.
I'm sorry this is so dark, but I'm also not sorry.
I know you're not.
We'll have much more levity next time.
Maybe.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Anyway, so she dies. I guess I was kind of disappointed. Not very attached to this Vanessa Sue. What am I doing?
You just combine the characters' names.
Mary So. It's so. Anyway, so then it concludes. Pinkie Pie, Vanessa Smith, decides that she's going to create stuffed dolls out of all of her best friends using their actual skin. Although I think she's wearing a mask of Pinkie Pie's, of Rainbow Dash's face at this point.
Yes, she is. Hooray for fanfiction.
Hooray for I don't like the internet anymore.
Oh, it's a dark place, but it'll be lighter next week. And if you didn't like this one, suggest a better one. If you don't like next week's, suggest an even better one.
Can I suggest another one?
Oh, of course you can't. This is your punishment.
What? What did I do?
You are not familiar with the source material, my good sir.
Okay, that's it. I'm going to pull a switch on you at one point. I'm going to find a fanfic of a book I like, and you're going to read it.
Maybe for our 100th episode. 99 fanfics under... Fanfics? Fanfics. Oh, niche. 99 fanfictions under your belt, and then you will finally have enough understanding to procure one that is satisfactory.
Yeah, we're going to have to edit that one out later.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been a treat. It's been a long treat. I'm going to cut this
awful.
one down. We, again, Dakota, Palmer, your guests here. Glad to bring this to you. Hope to bring this to you often, frequently. Remember, even if the rest of the world hates you, you can always hang at our house. Y'all have a lovely week.